attention. And this tiny, grumpy gnome, seriously, the dude looked like he hadn't smiled since the Cretaceous. He's handing me a book titled Existential Angst for Sentient Sloths. It was intense. Like, profoundly beige.
Whoa, hold up. Beige existentialism for sloths. That's aggressively boring. Seriously, dimensions. You were just chilling with a sloth's inner turmoil. My brain's short-circuiting just thinking about it. Okay, let me tell you about my dreams. I was a sentient toaster oven, battling a horde of rogue bagels for control of a portal to a universe made entirely of cheese. It was glorious chaos.
Oh my God!
A toaster oven. Oh my God, Trey, you're killing me. That's the most delightfully chaotic thing I've ever heard. Seriously, a universe made of cheese. I'm picturing tiny, sentient cheddar people fighting over the biggest block. But the gnome, he was judging me, you know. Like, you're wasting your potential, Ayana. You could be mastering the art of philosophical despair, instead of daydreaming about cheesy overlords.
Philosophical despair. Dude, the gnome sounds like a massive buzzkill. Look, I'm telling you, a universe of cheese is serious business. We're talking infinite grilled cheese sandwiches, sentient Parmesan sculptures, the works. And my toaster oven was armed with lasers made of melted butter. Let me tell you, those things burn hard. Also, the bagels were demanding reparations for, like, historical bread injustices.
Okay, reparations for bread injustices. You're escalating this to a whole other level, Trey. This is wilder than a ferret in a disco. Seriously, a sentient toaster oven. That's like the most ridiculous thing ever. But a universe made of cheese. I'm starting to think maybe your dream was the superior one. You know what? Let's just say the gnome and the toaster oven are rivals now. This has officially become the most bizarre podcast ever.
Dance to the rhythm. Casina Bisto feel that sweet connection. Dance to the rhythm. Casina Bisto feel that sweet connection.
Rivals, you say? Listen, Ayana, this gnome was trying to sell me a self-help book titled Embrace Your Inner Void. Void. Like, the absence of everything. It was aggressively passive-aggressive. And the bagels. They were staging a full-blown revolt, demanding we fund a universal bagel rights movement. It's called crumb justice, get it? Seriously, philosophical despair is so last season.
Oh my God!
Crumb justice. Oh my God, Trey, you're a genius. I love it. A sentient toaster oven fighting bagels for cheese, and you're giving them legal representation. This is peak absurdity. The gnome would hate this. Seriously, imagine him trying to contain this level of chaos. Order. Restore the balance. Ugh. I need a drink. And maybe a cheese-flavored everything. Crumb justice is trending, BTW.
Trending. Excellent. We are gonna need a merch line, crumb justice t-shirts, bumper stickers, maybe a line of artisanal bagels branded with the CJ logo. I'm thinking tiny, miniature bagels armed with miniature butter lasers. The gnome can choke on his beige angst. Look, I just had a thought, what if the cheese universe had traffic jams? Like, sentient cheddar cars, bumper to bumper, arguing over lane changes. Pure chaos, right?
Sentient cheddar cars. Trey, you've officially lost it, in the best way possible. This is a fever dream. I'm picturing a whole civilization of cheese people committing to walk in tiny, wedge-shaped automobiles. And the traffic jams. They are caused by philosophical debates about the nature of permission. Honestly, I'm starting to think the gnome was right. This is overwhelming. But hey, at least we're having fun, right? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and send us your wildest dreams, preferably involving sentient baked goods.
Okay, you're right. The chaos is delicious. Speaking of delicious, I just had a vision, a giant, sentient cheesecake piloting a spaceship, blasting lasers at a fleet of angry broccoli ships. It's called Operation Sweet Revenge. Seriously, the universe clearly needs a good, sugary intervention. And you know what? I think the gnome is secretly jealous of the cheesecake. Let's just say he's been stockpiling chocolate. Image prompt: a tiny, furious gnome meticulously crafting a chocolate sculpture, radiating barely contained rage.
Mwamokia, dance to the rhythm. Casina Bistop, feel that sweet connection.
Okay, that's just incredible, Trey. A chocolate-fueled gnome unleashing a tiny, dark fury on the universe. That's the kind of chaotic brilliance I live for. Seriously, I'm picturing him meticulously sculpting revenge with every ounce of his grumpy little existence. You know what? Let's give him a catchphrase. How about, may your existential angst be bitter? And you know, I'm suddenly craving a dark chocolate cheesecake. You're starting to influence my dessert choices, Trey. It's a slippery slope, I tell you.
May your existential angst be bitter. That's brilliant, Ayana. Seriously, I love the dark irony of it all. You know, I've been thinking, what if the bagels were actually funding the gnome's chocolate obsession? Like, a black market for artisanal dark chocolate, run entirely by disgruntled, crumb-covered revolutionaries. It's a feedback loop of chaos. Plus, I just had another vision, a giant, sentient pretzel piloting a submarine, battling a cracker made of lemon juice. It's called Operation Citrus Fury. We're on a roll, aren't we? This is exhilaratingly insane.
Based.
A pretzel submarine. Trey, you're spiraling into a glorious, delicious vortex of absurdity. I love it. And the idea of a dark chocolate gnome funding a black market. That's peak villainy. You know, I'm starting to think we should create a whole universe based on this ridiculous concept. Like, a society of sentient pastries, warring over the last slice of pie. The possibilities are overwhelmingly tempting. Don't you think the gnome would be furious about the black market?
Furious. Dude, the gnome would be destroying the black market with a meticulously crafted chocolate weapon, probably a chocolate grenade filled with espresso and dark chocolate shavings. It's pure, unadulterated rage. Seriously, I just had another vision, a giant, sentient marshmallow piloting a hot air balloon, advertising for a toothpaste company. It's called Operation Bubblegum. The universe is designed for chaos, Ayana. We just need to embrace it. Also, I think I need a nap. All this thinking is exhausting.
A marshmallow advertising toothpaste. Trey, you're a genius. A fluffy, pink, slightly sticky force of consumerism wreaking havoc on the fabric of reality. I'm officially nominating you for Most Surprisingly Brilliant Chaos Creator. You know what? Let's just lean into this. Let's talk about the implications of a universe ruled by sentient baked goods. What about laws? Currency? Fashion trends? Do they have philosophical debates about the merits of frosting versus glaze? This is truly magnificent. And hey, if we're talking about a universe of baked goods, I'm suddenly craving something sweet. Image prompt: a chaotic montage of sentient baked goods battling in a swirling vortex of frosting and sprinkles.
Okay, you're right. The frosting versus glaze debates are critical. Seriously, imagine a global summit, moderated by a wise old sourdough starter. The stakes. The very future of dessert. But listen to this, I just had a vision, a giant, sentient donut piloting a tanker ship filled entirely with sprinkles. It's called Operation Rainbow Splash. And the sprinkles, they are actively trying to destabilize the universe. It's like a sugar-fueled insurrection, Ayana. Plus, I'm pretty sure the donut is judging my life choices. Image prompt, a judgmental, glazed donut piloting a tanker ship, overflowing with rainbow sprinkles, with a miniature, disapproving frown.
A donut insurrection. Trey, you've officially crossed the line from funny to, well, beautifully chaotic. I love it. A sugary revolution led by a glazed protagonist. That's a narrative arc worthy of Shakespeare. Seriously, I'm picturing this donut leading a battalion of jelly-filled soldiers. And the jelly? That's weaponized delight. Okay, we need to establish some ground rules for this universe. Like, does the cheese universe have extradition treaties? Because, frankly, I'm starting to think the no might need a lawyer. And speaking of legal, let's discuss the ethical implications of sentient sprinkles. Are they entitled to basic rights? This is incredibly complex. Image prompt, a chaotic scene of a donut leading a sprinkle rebellion, with explosions of rainbow color and tiny, determined sprinkles.
Ethics. Seriously, Ayana, you're worried about ethics when we're talking about a universe where a giant marshmallow is promoting toothpaste. The absurdity is the point. But okay, you're right, we need a framework. Let's call it the Baked Goods Bill of Rights. It would include things like the right to frosting, the right to a comfortable crumb, and the right to be free from excessive baking. But listen to this, I just had another vision, a giant, sentient baguette piloting a spaceship shaped like a loaf of bread, battling a squadron of robotic croissants. It's called Operation Krusty Conflict. This is escalating. And I'm suddenly craving a really, really good crust.
Based.
A crust. Trey, you are single-handedly fueling my dessert cravings. Seriously, we need to investigate the structural integrity of bread-based spaceships. Is there a risk of crumb displacement? What's the optimal baking temperature for interstellar travel? This is fascinatingly practical. Okay, let's add structural integrity analysis to the Baked Goods Bill of Rights. And speaking of rights, I'm sensing a trend here. We need to protect the delicate ecosystem of confectionery creations. What about the right to a decent serving size? This is brilliantly absurd. Image prompt, a complex diagram illustrating the right to a decent serving size, alongside a dramatic illustration of a giant baguette spaceship engaging in combat.
Mwamokia, dance to the rhythm. Kasina Bisto, feel that sweet connection. Oh. Zana kusalinga as we move.
Okay, you're right. The right to a decent serving size is crucial. Seriously, imagine the societal implications of a world where a single, tiny cupcake gets a whole spaceship dedicated to its enjoyment. It's a terrifying, delicious dystopia. But listen to this, I just had a vision, a giant, sentient waffle piloting a submarine, attempting to steal all the honey from the universe. It's called Operation Sticky Situation. And the honey, it's actively trying to become everything. It's unsettling. Plus, I think the waffle is judging my entire existence. Image prompt, a grumpy, syrup-covered waffle piloting a submarine, overflowing with honey, with a miniature, disapproving frown.
Based.
A honey-fueled heist. Trey, you've officially elevated the level of chaos to a whole new dimension of sticky, sweet absurdity. I'm picturing this waffle as a sort of confectionery criminal mastermind. What's his motivation? Is he seeking power? Or simply a really, really good syrup bath? Okay, we need to add honey acquisition protocols to the Baked Goods Bill of Rights. Also, we need to establish a dedicated task force to investigate the potential for honey-based espionage. This is surprisingly strategic. Image prompt: a chaotic montage of sentient baked goods, waffle, honey, and sprinkles, engaged in a desperate struggle for dominance.
Ethics. Seriously, Ayana, you're worried about ethics when we're talking about a universe where a giant marshmallow is promoting toothpaste. The absurdity is the point. But okay, you're right, we need a framework. Let's call it the Baked Goods Bill of Rights. It would include things like the right to frosting, the right to a comfortable crumb, and the right to be free from excessive baking. Plus, a clause stating that no baked good shall ever be subjected to a forced frosting application. Image prompt: a close-up illustration of the Baked Goods Bill of Rights, highlighted with colorful frosting and sprinkles.
I love it. A legally binding declaration of baked good rights. This is brilliant. We need to translate this into a series of catchy slogans. Frosting freedom. Crumb justice. No false glaze. And, of course, honey is sacred. Okay, let's address the logistics. How do we enforce these rights? Do we have a baked goods police force? A universal crumb meter? This is delightfully complex. Image prompt: a stylized image of a gavel made of gingerbread, delivering a verdict in a courtroom filled with sentient baked goods.